The massive Turek exploration fleet tore through the fabric of space, emerging from hyperspace at the edge of a star system. Their intelligence reports had marked this as an undefended human colony. Commander Park stood on the bridge of the flagship, his forearms folded across his chitinous chest as he studied the holographic display with satisfaction. "At last," Park said, mandibles clicking with anticipation. "A simple conquest to expand our territory." The fleet consisted of 17 warships, each bristling with weapons. The Tureks had conquered 3 minor species in the past decade, adding their territories to the growing dominion. Humans represented the next logical expansion. Officer Kim monitored his sensor station, antennae twitching as data streamed in. His compound eyes widened. "Commander, scanners detect a single human vessel near the 6th planet," Kim reported, surprise evident in his voice. "It appears to be alone." Park's mandibles clicked rapidly, the Turek equivalent of laughter. One ship to defend an entire colony system. The humans are even more foolish than our reports suggested. The bridge crew shared his amusement. Their briefings had described humans as technologically primitive compared to the Turek Dominion. This would be a swift victory, one that would elevate Park's status among the Dominion hierarchy. "Magnify the human vessel," Park ordered. The holographic display zoomed in on the ship. It was sleek and angular, with a dark hull that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. The designation UES Indomitable was visible along its side in simple white lettering. "Such arrogance, to name their ship Indomitable when it stands alone against our might," Park remarked. "Move the fleet into attack formation." The Turek ships began spreading out, following standard conquest protocols. The humans didn't attempt to flee, which puzzled Park momentarily. Communications Officer Yoon's station lit up. "Commander, the human vessel is transmitting a message. They're broadcasting in multiple languages." "Let's hear what pathetic pleas they offer," Park said, settling into his command chair. The human message played through the bridge speakers. A calm, measured voice spoke in perfect Turek language, then repeated the message in several other alien tongues. "Attention approaching vessels. This is Captain Jae-young of the United Earth ship Indomitable. We extend peaceful greetings on behalf of humanity. We are on a routine patrol mission, and note your approach to human sovereign territory. Please identify yourselves and state your intentions." Park was impressed despite himself. The pronunciation was flawless, and the message conveyed neither fear nor aggression, merely professional courtesy. "Their linguistics are surprisingly sophisticated," Officer Yoon noted. "They've mastered our language patterns with remarkable accuracy." "Analyze their transmission technology," Park ordered. The science team worked quickly, examining the signal parameters and encryption. Science Officer Lee studied the data with growing concern. "Commander," Lee ventured cautiously, approaching Park's chair. "I'm detecting unusual energy signatures from the human ship that don't match our intelligence profiles. Their transmission technology exceeds our latest developments by several generations." This gave Park pause. Intelligence reports had clearly stated that human technology lagged behind Turek advancements. Could their information be outdated? "What about their weapon systems?" Park asked. "Difficult to determine," Lee replied. "Their hull composition is interfering with our scans, but the power core readings are unusual. I've never seen such configurations." Park considered this information briefly, then dismissed the concern with a wave of his upper limb. "Their technological development is irrelevant. They have one ship. We have 17. The outcome is inevitable." He rose from his chair and approached the central command console, positioned the fleet to surround them. "Cut off any escape vectors." The Turek ships moved with practiced precision, encircling the lone human vessel. The Indomitable remained motionless, making no attempt to evade the tightening noose. "They're not even trying to run," Officer Kim observed. "Either they're fools or they're very confident." "They're fools," Park declared. "Prepare the standard conquest declaration. Demand their immediate surrender and the coordinates of all human colonies in this sector. As the Turek ships completed their encirclement, Park couldn't help feeling a flicker of unease. The human ship's sleek design suggested functionality beyond mere aesthetics. Its calm stance in the face of overwhelming odds seemed less like foolishness and more like confidence. Park shook off the thought. The Turek Dominion had conquered every species they had encountered in the last century. Humans would be no different. Transmit the surrender demand, Park ordered. Inform them they have one standard time unit to comply before we open fire. The message was sent. The bridge fell silent as they awaited the human response. Park stared at the image of the Indomitable, trying to dismiss the growing feeling that something about this encounter wasn't proceeding according to plan. The Turek fleet had the lone human ship surrounded. 17 warships against 1. Commander Park felt certain of victory as he awaited the human response to his surrender demand. The main view screen flickered, and a human face appeared. Captain Jo Young of the Indomitable looked directly at Park with calm brown eyes. Her dark hair was pulled back neatly, and her uniform was simple but immaculate. Nothing in her expression showed fear or worry. "That's their captain," Officer Kim whispered. She looked so calm. Park had expected to see panic or at least concern on the human's face. The absence of either was unsettling. "Turek vessels," Captain Ji-Yum began, her voice steady and measured. "We welcome peaceful contact between our species. However, you are currently violating sovereign human space. I respectfully request you withdraw to neutral territory for proper diplomatic exchange." A moment of stunned silence fell over the Turek command deck before it erupted in laughter. The idea that this single ship would make demands of their mighty fleet struck them as absurd. "They really don't understand their situation," Officer Yoon said between clicks of amusement. Park raised a limb to quiet his crew. "Perhaps humans lack basic mathematical abilities," he said, drawing more laughter. He turned back to the screen and responded to the human captain. "Your single vessel presumes to make demands of our armada." Park's mandibles clicked with derision. "Perhaps your translation systems are faulty. Allow me to clarify our position. You are outnumbered 17 to 1. Surrender now or face annihilation." The human captain didn't blink. She didn't fidget or show any signs of distress. Ji-Young simply looked at Park as though she were explaining something simple to a child. "Commander Park," she said, surprising him with her knowledge of his name. "Humanity has not always been peaceful. We have survived our own violence for centuries. We know war better than you could possibly imagine." Park felt a cold sensation in his abdomen. How did she know his name? He hadn't introduced himself in any transmission. "This is your only warning," Ji-Yum continued. "We do not wish to demonstrate our capabilities." Science Officer Lee approached Park's command chair quickly. "Commander, they've somehow accessed our communication systems. They know who you are." Park felt a flicker of doubt, but pushed it aside. "A simple trick to unsettle us," he declared loudly enough for the entire bridge crew to hear. "They're trying to compensate for their obvious disadvantage." Ji-Young continued to stare at Park through the screen, waiting for his response. Her calm was more unnerving than any threat could have been. "The human thinks one ship can stand against us," Park announced to his crew. "Let's educate them on the reality of their situation." He turned to his weapons officer. "Fire a warning volley. Target their propulsion systems only. I want them disabled, not destroyed." Weapons Officer Sung nodded and entered the targeting commands. "Targeting their rear quadrant, where propulsion systems are typically located in most species designs." "Fire," Park ordered. Green energy beams lanced out from 3 of the Turek ships, converging on the human vessel's engines. The bridge crew watched, expecting to see the Indomitable's shields flare and fail, followed by the satisfying sight of damaged hull plating. Instead, something unexpected happened. Just before the beams reached the human ship, a shimmer appeared around the Indomitable. Not the standard energy shield they had expected, but something different. The Turek weapons seemed to bend around the human vessel, their energy dissipating harmlessly into space. "What just happened?" Park demanded, rising from his chair. Officer Sung checked his displays with growing confusion. The weapons, they didn't impact. It's as if they were redirected. "Impossible," Park snapped. "Fire again, full power this time." Before Sung could comply, Captain Jai Young's voice came through again, but this time without the video feed. Her tone remained eerily calm. "We regret that you've chosen this path, Commander Park. Please be advised that we will now take defensive measures." Science Officer Lee rushed to his station, frantically analyzing new readings. "Commander, the human ship is powering up systems that weren't active before. Energy signatures are. I've never seen anything like this." Park felt his certainty wavering. This wasn't how conquests usually proceeded. His antenna twitched nervously as he tried to maintain his composure before his crew. "They're bluffing," he insisted. "Prepare all ships to fire simultaneously. We'll overwhelm whatever defensive systems they possess." But even as he gave the order, Park noticed something strange happening to the human ship. Sections of its hull that had appeared solid were shifting, revealing what looked like weapon ports that hadn't been visible before. New scan of the human vessel shows it's significantly more armed than our initial readings indicated, Officer Kim reported, his voice rising with alarm. "Those aren't standard weapons, Commander. I don't know what they are." Park stared at the Indomitable, the first real tendrils of fear creeping into his mind. What exactly had they challenged here? And what had the human captain meant about surviving their own violence for centuries? "All ships," Park ordered, trying to keep his voice steady. "Prepare tow." He never finished the command. The Indomitable suddenly began to move, not away from the Turek fleet, but toward it. The green energy beams from the Turek ships dissipated harmlessly around the human vessel. Everyone on the Turek command bridge watched in disbelief. Then something even stranger happened. The surface of the Indomitable began to change. "Commander Park, look." Officer Kim pointed at the main view screen. What had appeared to be solid hull plates on the human ship were shifting and reconfiguring. Panels slid aside, revealing weapon ports that had been completely invisible to their scans. The sleek vessel now bristled with previously hidden armaments. "Impossible," muttered Officer Han as new data flooded his console. His fingers frantically worked the controls, trying to make sense of the readings. "Their hull composition is changing. The material properties are shifting at the molecular level." Park stared at the transformation with growing horror. Nothing in Turek technology could do this. Change the fundamental structure of a ship's hull during battle. It defied everything they understood about material science. "Scan those weapons," Park ordered, struggling to keep his voice steady. Before Officer Han could respond, something even more alarming happened. Rather than retreating from the Turek fleet as any sensible outgunned vessel should, the Indomitable began to advance directly toward them. "They're approaching our formation," Kim reported unnecessarily. Everyone could see it happening on the main display. "They're mad," Park whispered. Then louder, "All ships, concentrate fire." The Turek fleet responded instantly, 17 ships directing their main weapons at the lone human vessel. Streams of destructive energy converged on the Indomitable, and did nothing. Some beams seemed to bend around the ship. Others simply vanished upon contact with its hull. Not a single weapon left so much as a scorch mark. Before the Tureks could process this impossibility, the Indomitable responded. 3 precise beams of blue-white light shot from the human ship, each striking a different Turek vessel. There was no explosion, no visible damage. But the effects were immediate. Battlecruisers 4, 7, and 12 report complete systems failure. Communications Officer Yoon called out, his voice rising in panic. "Weapons, propulsion, and communications are all offline." Park's antenna twitched violently. "How?" "We detected no energy weapon discharge." "Unknown technology," Science Officer Lee replied, his eyes fixed on his readings. The beams carried some form of information, like a virus, but transmitted through energy rather than code. The Indomitable fired again. 3 more Turek ships went silent, drifting helplessly in space. "They're not destroying our vessels," Officer Kim noted with confusion. "They're just neutralizing them." Park realized Kim was right. The human ship could have destroyed the disabled Turek vessels. Instead, it was systematically removing their ability to fight while leaving life support and other essential systems functioning. This wasn't extermination. It was something perhaps more frightening. It was a demonstration. "Our primary weapons are ineffective against their shielding," Weapons Officer Sung reported, panic evident in his voice. He slammed his upper limbs against his console in frustration. "Not even our phase disruptors are penetrating." Park felt the situation slipping rapidly out of control. 6 ships disabled in less than a minute, with no damage to the human vessel. His mandibles clicked rapidly in distress. "Evasive maneuvers," he ordered. "All remaining ships, break formation and retreat to minimum safe jump distance." The Turek vessels scattered, trying to open distance between themselves and the terrifying human ship. But the Indomitable moved with shocking speed, far faster than its size suggested possible. It pursued the fleeing Turek ships with ease, disabling 2 more with those strange, silent beams. "It's picking us off one by one," Officer Kim whispered. Meanwhile, Science Officer Lee had been working frantically at his station, trying to decode intercepted transmissions between the Indomitable and what appeared to be human command bases. His mandibles suddenly froze mid-click as he processed what he was reading. "Commander," Lee called out, his voice shaking. "I've decoded additional human transmissions. The Indomitable is—" He paused, almost unable to continue. "It's merely a border patrol craft." Park's blood ran cold. "What?" Lee turned to face his commander, all 4 limbs trembling. "This ship isn't a warship, Commander. It's the equivalent of a border patrol vessel. Their transmissions indicate it's one of their smaller, lighter-armed ships used for routine security operations." The implications hit everyone on the bridge at once. If this was what humans sent on routine patrols, what were their actual warships like? As if in answer to their unspoken question, Officer Kim's console began blaring alerts. "New contacts detected," Kim shouted. "Multiple signals appearing at the edge of the system. They're moving faster than anything I've ever tracked." The tactical display updated to show 7 new contacts moving toward their position at incredible speed. Unlike the Indomitable, these vessels made no attempt to hide their nature. They were massive, dwarfing even the largest Turek battlecruiser. "These are warships," Lee whispered, looking at the new data. "Human battleships." Park stared at the display, watching his carefully planned conquest crumble before his eyes. More than half his fleet was already disabled, and now they faced 7 human warships in addition to the terrifying capabilities of the patrol craft they had so foolishly attacked. "Commander," Communications Officer Yoon said quietly, "the Indomitable is hailing us again." Captain Jae-young's calm face appeared on screen once more. If she had been composed before, now she looked almost sympathetic. "Commander Park," she said gently, "I believe there has been a significant misunderstanding about humanity's capabilities. I suggest we discuss surrender terms. Your crew will not be harmed." Park could only stare at the human captain, the full weight of his catastrophic error crushing down upon him. The remaining Turek ships tried to scatter and escape, but the Indomitable pursued them with impossible speed. Each time its blue-white beams touched a Turek vessel, all weapons and engines stopped working immediately. Commander Park watched in horror as his mighty fleet was reduced to helpless, drifting hulks. 9 ships disabled, Officer Kim reported, his voice barely above a whisper. 10, 11. Just when Park thought things couldn't get worse, new alerts sounded across the bridge. "The human ship is deploying smaller craft," Officer Han exclaimed. The side of the Indomitable opened, revealing launch bays that had been completely hidden from Turek scans. Small, agile fighters poured out, at least 20 of them, each no bigger than a Turek shuttle, but moving with speed that defied physics. How were they hiding those? Officer Sung asked in disbelief. There isn't enough physical space inside that ship for so many fighters. The human fighters split into precise formations and targeted the remaining Turek vessels. Their flying style was unlike anything the Tureks had ever encountered. The fighters seemed to predict Turek evasive maneuvers before they even happened, always appearing exactly where a Turek ship tried to flee. They're not following normal flight patterns, said Officer Kim, watching the tactical display with growing dread. It's like they know what our pilots are going to do before they do it. 2 more Turek ships went silent. Another reported critical damage to its navigation systems. The fighters weren't destroying the Turek vessels. They were systematically stripping away their ability to fight or flee. Commander Park's mandibles trembled. His glorious conquest had become a nightmare. His mighty fleet was being disabled by what the humans considered a mere patrol vessel. Order the retreat, Park commanded. His earlier confidence completely evaporated. All remaining ships jumped to hyperspace immediately. Return to Dominion space. Communications Officer Choi frantically worked at his console, his antennae twitching with stress. After several moments, he looked up at Park with an expression of pure fear. Sir, we can't reach half the fleet, Choi reported. Our channels are being blocked. Something is interfering with our communication frequencies. Use emergency protocols. Park snapped. Switch to backup systems. All channels are affected, Choi replied. It's as if the humans know all our communication protocols. Before Park could respond, the main view screen activated without any Turek input. The bridge crew jumped in surprise. No one had accepted an incoming transmission. The screen simply turned on by itself, bypassing all security measures. Captain Jae-young's face appeared, her expression stern, but not vengeful. Commander Park, she said calmly, we now understand your intentions throughout this sector. Your military database has been quite informative. Park felt his internal organs constrict in fear. Our database? What do you mean? While we've been engaging your fleet, we've been downloading your ship's entire command database, Jae-young explained. Your invasion plans for 3 other systems, your reconnaissance data on 12 species, your military deployments throughout the sector. Impossible, Park gasped. Our systems are isolated. There's no way to access them externally. Jae-young almost looked sympathetic. Your technology is impressive, Commander, but you've made assumptions about humanity based on deeply flawed intelligence. Science Officer Lee frantically checked his systems. Commander, he said, his voice shaking, she's telling the truth. Someone or something has accessed our central database. All our files have been copied. Park couldn't believe what he was hearing. The security of Turek military systems was legendary. No species had ever penetrated their encryption. Yet these humans had done it while simultaneously disabling his fleet. We are not your enemy unless you make us so, Jae-young continued. We would have welcomed peaceful contact. Instead, you came to conquer. Long-range sensors suddenly began shrieking alarms. Officer Kim jumped to check the readings, his eyes widening in disbelief. Multiple contacts detected, Kim shouted. Many human ships approaching from everywhere. The tactical display updated, showing human vessels appearing in all directions. Some were emerging from behind moons. Others seemed to materialize from empty space, as if they had been there all along but somehow invisible to Turek sensors. How many? Park asked, dreading the answer. At least 60 vessels, Kim replied, his voice cracking. Various sizes, many larger than our heaviest battlecruisers. They've been waiting, Lee realized. They knew we were coming. Park stared at the tactical display, watching as human ships converged on his broken fleet from all directions. The truth crashed down on him with terrible weight. The humans had known about the Tureks all along. The Indomitable hadn't been alone and vulnerable. It had been bait. We have been monitoring your expansion for some time, Captain Jae-young confirmed, as if reading Park's thoughts. We were prepared to welcome the Turek Dominion as neighbors. Your decision to attack has forced us to reveal capabilities we preferred to keep private. Park's mind raced through the implications. If these humans could hide entire fleets from Turek sensors, if their patrol ships could defeat Turek battle groups, if they could access Turek secure systems as easily as opening an unlocked door, what else could they do? The vessels approaching now are our actual warships, Commander Park, Jai Young said quietly. The Indomitable is, as you've learned, merely a border patrol craft. Park looked around his bridge. His officers stood frozen at their stations, mandibles clicking in fear. Their mighty fleet had been defeated by a single human patrol ship, and now real human warships were arriving. With growing horror, Park realized they had not simply failed in their conquest. They had provoked a species far more dangerous than their intelligence had indicated, perhaps the most dangerous species the Turek Dominion had ever encountered. 3 days after the disastrous encounter, Commander Park stood nervously aboard the massive human diplomatic vessel UES Concord. The ship dwarfed even the largest Turek cruisers, yet operated with barely any crew visible. Park had been brought here after the humans disabled his entire fleet without destroying a single ship. Park's antennae drooped with shame. His once proud uniform had been cleaned but still showed battle damage. 2 Turek officers stood behind him, equally subdued. They represented all that remained of Park's command authority. The human diplomatic chamber was surprisingly simple. A large table of polished wood dominated the room. Plants from various worlds decorated the corners. The walls displayed peaceful images of stars and planets. Admiral Hyun entered with a small delegation. She was older than Captain Jae-dong, with silver streaks in her dark hair and a face that showed experience. Her uniform was adorned with small symbols Park now understood represented significant achievements. Behind her walked Captain Ji-young and 4 other humans in various uniforms. Commander Park, Admiral Han said, her voice clear and direct. Thank you for agreeing to this meeting. Park's translator rendered her words perfectly. He knew it was a formality. He had not agreed to anything. His fleet was disabled, his crew at human mercy. The Turek Dominion has misjudged humanity, Hyun explained as they all sat down. This misunderstanding could have led to significant loss of life. Park could not meet her eyes. Our intelligence was incorrect. Yes, Hyun nodded. We've known of your species for years, but chose observation rather than confrontation. We monitored your expansion through 3 sectors, but did not interfere as you claimed uninhabited systems. Park's head snapped up in surprise. You knew of us? For how long? We detected your first interstellar ships 15 years ago, Captain Jae-dong answered. We've been studying the Turek Dominion ever since. Park felt a cold sensation run through his body. 15 years. The humans had known about them for 15 years, yet the Turek had only discovered human signals 2 years ago. Our histories are filled with violence, Jae-young continued. Before we reached the stars, humans fought countless wars against each other. Those lessons taught us to maintain overwhelming defensive capability while pursuing peaceful relations whenever possible. Park struggled to understand. Then why reveal yourselves now? Why not stay hidden? Admiral Hyun leaned forward. Because your expansion pattern changed. You began targeting systems with intelligent life. The Nizari, the Volith, the Pelnar, all peaceful species now under Turek control. Park's mandibles clicked nervously. She knew everything. We decided it was time to establish boundaries, Hyun said firmly. A human officer activated a display showing a map of the sector. A clear line marked what Park assumed was human territory. It encompassed far more systems than Turek intelligence had ever suspected. These boundaries are non-negotiable, Hyun stated, but we offer trade, cultural exchange, and technology sharing within defined parameters. Park was confused. You're not demanding our surrender. After what we attempted. Captain Jae-young smiled slightly. Would you prefer that outcome, Commander? No, Park admitted quickly. But I don't understand your mercy. Another lesson from our violent past, Admiral Han explained. Humiliation breeds resentment. Resentment leads to future conflict. We seek lasting peace, not temporary dominance. For the next several hours, they discussed terms. The humans were firm on boundaries, but surprisingly generous on everything else. They offered medical technology, improved drive systems, and agricultural advancements. They asked only for cultural exchange and a promise to respect human space. Park sent the terms to the Turek High Command. Their response came quickly. Faced with incontrovertible evidence of human technological superiority, they had no choice but to accept the humans as equals despite their previous dismissal of the species as primitive. As the formal peace treaty was signed, Park studied Admiral Hyun and Captain Ji Young with new understanding. The humans could have destroyed his fleet. They could have demanded territory, resources, or subjugation. Instead, they offered partnership. "There is one thing I still don't understand," Park said as the ceremony concluded. "How did you hide your true capabilities from our scouts? How did the Indomitable conceal its weapons?" Admiral Hyun exchanged glances with Captain Ji Young before answering. "That information isn't included in our technology exchange program, Commander. Some capabilities we prefer to keep private." Park nodded slowly. Of course. Trust had limits, especially at first. 6 months later, Commander Park stood before the Turek High Council, delivering his final report on human relations. He had requested a permanent position as liaison to human space, a request that had been quickly granted. No other Turek understood humans better. They value peace but prepare for war with a thoroughness that surpasses our own, Park explained to the council. They hide their strength until threatened. Then they reveal only what is necessary. One council member clicked his mandibles dismissively. "One patrol ship cannot represent their entire species." "That is precisely my point," Park replied firmly. "The Indomitable was a patrol craft, yet it defeated our entire battle group. Judge not a species by a single ship, especially if that species is human." The phrase entered Turek military doctrine that day. Years later, it would become a common saying throughout the Dominion, a reminder of humility learned through near disaster. And as human and Turek ships began joint patrols of neutral space, younger officers would ask Park to tell the story of his first contact with humanity. He always ended the tale the same way. "We came seeking conquest and found instead the most valuable thing in the galaxy. A worthy friend we nearly missed by seeing only what we expected to see." The end.